Selectmen, the ordinary meeting of the Selectmen to order at 3:07, according to the clock on the back of the wall. And first up, an update, Chris.
Well, there's not a whole lot to update community-wide, but it looks like there's an increase in cases, kind of a trend throughout the United States. And I think, we just gotta still adhere by the guidelines and regulations set forth. And an interesting thing that I saw looking at the numbers today is Connecticut and Massachusetts are among the top third in the country for percentage increase in cases.
Oh my goodness.
So that's something that's a little interesting that maybe we should keep an eye on. As far as hockey, unless somebody knows better than I do, they're doing private rentals this weekend. And then next weekend, they're going to start back with the tournaments. And that's kind of the tentative plan for now. Sure. And we're told by John and Fred that, they're going to be the ones that are overseeing the protocols and the guidelines for the arena. Not sure how they're going to do it, but they know what they have to do, and going forward, that's the plan.
I think they said they had something like a 15-page document.
Yeah. So that's just keep doing what we're doing. As far as the state reporting and the active cases and cumulative cases on their website, we all have to kind of take that with a grain of salt, because a lot of times the numbers are behind. A lot of times the reporting is consistent, but it's how they report it can be kind of tricky at times as far as the numbers in town, whether the person is a resident of town or whether they were staying in town. So they kind of put the numbers out and then they sort through it. So some of them could be off a little bit here and there or delayed. We've seen that as well. But we certainly don't have any major clusters in town. I know the SAU has been dealing with a couple cases a week in the elementary schools and the high school here and there. And their guidelines and protocols to close the school, clean it, do contact tracing, and then open the school again. I believe the high school went back today. And they were closed Monday for a case.
And Holder is special just released today for a couple of days.
Okay. So that's all fluid, and they're going by the plan that they have, and it seems to be working. To my knowledge, there's been no confirmed cases of transmissions in the schools. It's all coming from outside. So that's encouraging. That tells us that what they're doing is working in the schools. So other than that, unless there's any questions, we can move on.
They just reported, there was a report about Plymouth.
Yeah,
Basically,
a restaurant.
Yeah, the 4 restaurants are closed. They didn't mention which ones they were, but 4 restaurants, 17 students, 100 kids in quarantine.
And what you'll find with those DHHS, I'll call them alerts for lack of better description, when they say that there's been, there could be some contact. If you read between the lines, usually it's because it's a server or a worker there, because they set out dates and times when there was an infected person in the restaurant, and usually that means there was a server, and that's why they put them out. They put a public notice out because there's no way to.
You can't hear sound.
So that's kind of an interesting tidbit that I kind of figured out.
Can I just ask, this is bothering me a little bit on this. You guys are not 6 feet apart. Could you please spread out a little? There's extra chairs and that kind of thing. I would greatly appreciate
Well,
that.
I can give this up you're done here. I don't have any major department updates.
Okay.
We're just going through the motion.
And can I throw something out? Can people out there hear us, hear the speaker well?
Yeah.
Thumbs up if you can hear, thumbs down if you can't. Anybody? Thanks, Tom.
Was that an affirmative?
I didn't get a
We
response from
didn't get a
anybody.
response from
Jack
anybody.
Sanders, can you
They
hear
can't
us?
hear us.
Yeah, they can. Jack Sanders, can you hear us?
Tom or Barry, can you hear us? Just just turn your camera on and give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you can hear us, please.
No, I don't think they can.
But someone would be calling in and go, we can't hear you.
Is there a message chat?
There was one from Linda Coleman.
Yeah, there was one from Linda.
Barry, can you hear us? Turn your camera on and give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, please. Tom? Camera on, thumbs up, thumbs down, if you can hear us or not? Anybody, Eric Barth, would you turn your camera on and thumbs up, thumbs down if you can hear us?
Can't.
I can.
They look like they can hear you.
They got to YouTube.
These are all just pictures of people, they're just,
That's
So,
good.
hold on.
Test, test.
I can hear you.
So here,
That's probably what it is.
unmute.
No, I think this was too low.
Now, can you hear now? Jack? Jack, can you hear?
Just nod your head up and down.
Check that.
And it's gonna be this one. Test, test.
Test, test.
How's that now? Can you hear us?
You're not even joined with audio.
No, because we're going off of,
There.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Send help.
He can hear you.
Yep, he can hear you.
they can hear?
Yep.
Okay, so everybody can hear us now? Can you give us a thumbs up if you can hear us? Thumbs up? Thank you, thank you. Sorry
There
for
we go.
the technical difficulties. We're gonna move on to privilege of the floor. And you can call in to 236-4730. You can email to wbmanager@watervillevalley.org. And what's the text number again, Mark?
It's
6701,
Can they raise their hands?
6708.
6708, 236-6708.
236-6708.
254?
It's 254.
I'm sorry, 254.
254-6708.
Yes.
Okay,
Can
so.
they raise their hand if they're on the Zoom meeting?
Yeah, and you can raise your hand if you're on the Zoom meeting and you have a question. Anybody out there? Okay, we do have, some guests. Maybe we could have, Bertie and Tom. They're in to give us an update about the chapel.
You want to go share a moment?
Yeah, I guess, do you want to talk about? Okay.
Yeah.
right.
You want to do?
Well, I guess we're here today really to discuss about the warrant. That would go before the spring town meeting because, we've done the presentation. Eric has been there. If you have any questions for Eric, by the way, he's on.
He's on, yeah.
But I guess our biggest concern at the board meeting now was to do that. I think December 31st is the deadline, is that correct? For the warrant?
Well, yes, we
Yeah.
need to have one in January so that we can start the
Yeah, so maybe by,
discussions.
next select person's meeting, we could have it done. Is that how that works, Mark?
Yeah, do you
okay.
have any ideas or do you have anything to update the board on?
Well, Tom and I discussed this earlier, and I think he's talked with you, Mark, that we basically wanted two options, and these were the options that we were thinking of. One is a lease option where the town leases land to the RFK Chapel 501c3 for 1 year renewable every 5 years. And then the town maintains ownership of the land. The second option, sale option, is that the town donates or sells the land to the RFK Chapel 501c3 for a small amount with a reverter clause. And with the reverter clause, it would state that if the 501c3 does not build the chapel in 5 or 10 years, the ownership of the land reverts back to the town. So those are two of the options that we discussed, and I don't know, Tom, if you have anything.
No, I think the reason we're going with this is that it doesn't pigeonhole us, so that we go out and we immediately purchase the land for whatever price is determined, and then we find out that our fundraising efforts did not come to fruition. And then we would kind of look like idiots and we give the town, we figure out how to get the land back to the town. So what we're trying to accomplish with either one of these leases is to kind of keep it, fluid with the town, maintaining ownership of the land while we go about our fundraising efforts and try and raise the full amount and then some, so that we're able to then maintain it in a reasonable way for multiple years. It's just an unknown. It is an expensive project, and by going full out and trying to purchase the land, even if it is a very small amount, it still is an unknown whether or not we'll be able to raise the 1.5 million or whatever the price tag is. So this kind of keeps our chapel committee and the town kind of in a more flexible situation to see how things unfold. We also have to, meet with the Sununus on easements on getting to it. We have to let the bathroom situation unfold on whether or not the bathrooms are built at the pond, or is whether that's something that we have to add into our building if the town does not do that project. So there's just still some unknowns here that we have to process our way through, and we felt that by having either the lease option or the sale option with the reverter back makes the most sense. So that's for, I guess, the select board to mull over.
Mark, don't we have to do something else, or is that later on with respect to if something is to be built on that land? Under either of these scenarios, wouldn't the town have to approve something being built on that land?
Well, yeah, that's what what the warrant article would say, is to move forward with the chapel project and to either lease, sell, under what terms you would need to do that to the 501c3. That would all be part of the discussion of this warrant article.
Okay, so for instance, if we went with the lease option, at the same time, we would be asking the town to grant permission, assuming they got their financing together, to allow them to start building the chapel.
Yes, I think that's implied in, yeah.
Yeah,
in the-
I
in
think
the
we,
article.
I think we want it to be very specific because I think, it's one thing to deal with, do we lease, do we sell, do we donate? That's one aspect of it. But I think people will also be very interested in, what's this gonna look like, And before I say it's okay to go forward,
Mhm.
I wanna know that. So I think,
Well, yeah.
Those
it-
are
Yeah, well,
it-
we would have Eric give a presentation
mhm,
that he gave to you first before, so that they could see. Now, I don't
And the
know,
warrant article itself would be to lease the land or sell the land, whatever the decision is, for the purpose of building the chapel or however we want to exactly word it.
okay.
But it would not be just turning over the land to the 501c3. It would be for a reason.
I would imagine though that, and perhaps you can speak to this, the chapel committee, you don't necessarily want to be locked into a particular construction because you're going to be dependent on receiving monies you don't have, so you may have to scale down or change.
That's correct.
right,
So it'd be more of the intent. The warrant should concentrate on,
Yeah, for a purpose. They
For a
can't-
purpose.
They can't build
right,
a hotel.
no,
They gotta build
I understand. Right,
a chapel building,
a chapel, but
or
I
a
guess
meeting house or whatever you want to term it.
I was building off of Margaret's comment about the town having some idea of what the constructed building would look like.
Yeah.
That can't be in the, I wouldn't want that in the warrant, I don't think.
A specific
Right.
Right,
plan, right.
Right, but I think one of the other things we're going to need going forward is a structure to the 501c3, a mission statement, and an operational budget on this, because I think if we lease the land and the building gets built and all of a sudden the 501c3 disappears,
Right,
we're gonna have a building that the town will own, and how we're gonna maintain it and how,
right.
what it's
Yes,
gonna be.
I mentioned that to Tom. There definitely needs to be an ongoing,
And I think, I'm not sure about this, but maybe this can be a two-part warrant. A warrant to approve the going forward and leasing it under these certain, Lynch with these certain plateaus are met.
Yeah.
And then at the second level of plateaus, some other form of approval would have to come in
okay,
to see, because like if you say you're gonna build a 40-seat place, but all of a sudden you got the money to build 120, or the other way around, you're gonna go 120 or 40, or you realize you can't get the parking easement in and you can't get this, we need to know, I think we all agree, we would like to see the project go forward. But we don't know what the project really is until you've raised the money. And raising the money is gonna dictate really what the project is, as well as the things that Tom mentioned. The easements from Tyrell to get parking in there, the layout of what they're going to do to the trail system, and most importantly, the bathrooms.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, we're bringing more people to town square without adding bathrooms. That's why we picked up that land, and that's why we've got to go ahead with that. But I'm in favor of moving ahead with this and just figuring a way that's acceptable to everybody, that makes sense without it getting nitpicked.
I would think a lease at this point in time might be a better option. I'm thinking that because, it doesn't commit the parties to buy
Yeah.
at this point in time. It doesn't commit us to sell the land. The land
Right.
remains with us and,
A lease isn't even necessary, an option works just as fine and doesn't bind.
mhm,
The option, first option, first right of refusal to the land under the following terms.
right.
Makes it really easy, really palatable, and then just get it together and the town go back, you're gonna exercise your option and get it done.
right. Well, I think, and Eric maybe can come in on this too, we had discussed with the board as starting it in phase 1 or phase 2, and we have thrown out the idea of just the more like the what's it called, the arbor that's there now, which would be just the foundation, which is all terrace rock, and have it a very open air concept in the beginning. But I don't know, you know, I think probably we can't put that in now because that would just sort of confuse the issue, so.
But also.
Yeah, I think we're going along the intent that we will raise the money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You know, but this is as a property owner, this makes a lot more sense. You know, the lease option or the reverter clause for us to move forward.
I think for all of
I
us,
mean, yeah, it's
until,
gotta be a
until you know
chapel,
how
so,
things, you know, are
Right.
gonna turn out, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not-
well, does that lease option, I show you what we had those two options. The lease option was the town leases the land to the RFK Chapel 501c3 for 1 year renewable every 5 years. And town maintains ownership.
Yeah, that was
Of the
$1 a year,
$1.
Bertie.
$1.
Yeah,
$1.
$1 a year renewable every
Right,
5 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
$1 a year renewable, yeah.
We would be open to going up to $5, but I think that'd be.
Okay. Well, Mark, you can work
Yeah,
With
Mark and I worked to start with some
on
sort
the
of.
wording.
Are there any other issues that you, so I'm hearing, we're gonna need a maintenance plan, they need to go to Tyrell Corporation and access and parking and things like that, if there's any Tyrell land involved in that, that needs to be,
also the Golden Eagle, because I think
The
they're
Golden
gonna need
Eagle.
permission from the Golden Eagle to use parking because it's just gonna naturally happen from where we are.
It is,
all right.
it's just gonna happen.
And the town Brooke and I will work to identify or review the pavilion with the town core working group and get that reviewed as far as, especially answering the bathroom issue. I hear that needs to be addressed as part of this also, right?
Mhm.
You mentioned.
Does anyone
I
disagree
think
with me
so.
on that?
No,
No,
it's-
No, I think if you're bringing people to an event, you have to provide that service.
Okay. Well, we're gonna move forward with that review.
But Mark, my understanding was if you did the, not the beach pavilion, but the rec.
Well, we need to look at, first thing we need to do is review, because right now the beach pavilion includes bathrooms in it. But Mike's talking about looking at this building, the chapel building,
You adding bathrooms to your building.
adding bathrooms.
Oh, I see, okay.
Okay, so that's part of what we need to look at.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Eric might,
Well, yeah, we're gonna work with Eric. We've
Right.
already started. Brooke and I have talked to him already.
okay.
So we'll continue to look at that. Is that
Okay,
okay with the board?
absolutely. Okay,
Well, then just one question. So drawing up the warrant, you're gonna work with Tom on that, or? So by the next, your next select person's meeting, would we have a warrant to present to you by then?
Are
Or
you gonna have, the- are you gonna have the attachments to go with the warrant?
Answers to all these questions.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be an ongoing process over probably the next month while we get answers to all these
Okay.
questions.
Yeah, we'll get documents from the Golden Eagle, Tyrell,
Yeah.
maintenance budget. Yeah, that will all be attached to the warrant to the select board.
Yes,
okay,
and I think it's more realistic for the second meeting in November.
all right.
Probably take about a month at least to get this.
and that second meeting is the Wednesday
The-
before
Well,
Thanksgiving.
actually, I was confused on amendments. I thought we were gonna go to Thursday. Go Thursday?
And we're going to the Thursday to skip Veterans Day.
Right, but we had it on the Tuesday in the minutes here, but we'll get to that in a
We'll
minute.
get that.
Get to the minutes in a minute.
Okay.
But it's Thanksgiving week, we just, yeah, we're trying to get the dates straight.
Thanksgiving.
Maybe, thanks. Okay,
Okay, so
Excellent.
we know what we gotta work on.
Yeah,
Okay.
no problem. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
taking this
Thanks
early.
very much.
I don't
You
think
have
we
lovely
have.
daughters.
you better not forget that she's.
I got it
Talk to you later, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to review and approval of the minutes. See you, Bertie.
Bye.
You know, there was a section in there I think we need to relook at.
Okay, let's start at the beginning, section 2.
Well,
Well, wait a minute, Mike.
no, I was gonna propose that we defer.
Oh, okay.
There's a
fine.
section on an old business on the Golden Heights
Yeah,
road right away that I think needs to be looked at and perhaps reworded. So if you guys, as the
so you're making a
planning
motion
board,
to table?
yes, I'm making a motion to table the minutes. We can do the other bits and pieces if you guys
Well, but
want.
I think if we just give those to Sharon separately while
Okay.
we're
Rewriting
rewriting
that?
that section, we can incorporate all of your comments. We'll just take what you've written down and we'll make those edits at the same time.
Okay,
Okay, so we'll just table it till the next meeting. Is that all right?
okay, so onward. Financial,
All right, in the financial report that I provided, we're tracking, same as last week, or last, meeting. The only 3 departments that are ahead, at this point in time are the ones that we highlighted last time. Revenues are coming in, pretty well. We have, a more detailed discussion during the tax rate setting update later in the budget. If you don't have any questions on this particular report, we can talk about.
any
No,
questions?
It's just a continuation of
last
time.
Yeah, this one thing is, just satisfied my curiosity.
Sure.
We expect to make up 39% in the remaining.
Yeah, the
Part of
the
this
majority
quarter.
of that is in the water and sewer.
Water,
bills,
sewer, and
which we have the fourth quarter still remaining.
outstanding? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, same thing with car registrations.
Car registrations, yeah, we'll talk about all those.
Okay, yeah,
as it
I had a question about that
affects the
too.
tax rate.
Okay, department head reports, Chris already said he didn't have anything. Brooke,
Well, we had a successful Halloween event on Saturday at 4 o'clock. It was outside on the new pickleball court there, and we had a good turnout. And people respected the face mask rule, except for when they were shoving candy in their face. But that was nice. The weather really turned out nice during that 1 hour that we were out there. Margaret led a trip for us on Sunday, the history walk, which was really nice, which was full, which is awesome. And that's about it that's happening in the rec department right now. We're just moving on with our pickleball was open on Saturdays. We've had just 2 people on both of the Saturdays that we've been open. And we have our after school program on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays.
okay. All right, Jim,
Well, I guess we had a little taste of what's to come this morning, so we immediately got busy and we've got 1 truck outfitted, so we're ready for whatever comes tomorrow night. Hopefully, I do have a load of salt on order, I do have sand on order, so it's the beginning. Just to let you know, we have an electrical problem on the garbage truck. We're tracing that, and as soon as we can run that down, we'll get it back into service. And for the present time, it's down. So hopefully we can get that going in the next day or 2.
How long has it been down, Jim?
We used it, we disengaged what we could, some of the safety features on it, used it partially yesterday. We've been able to pick up to this point, and now all we got to do is get it operational. So as soon as we find the culprit, we'll get whatever we need to get it back into service.
okay,
Other than that, I don't have too much.
Dylan, you wanna you want to talk to Dylan about the numbers that I included in your
Yes.
packet, water and wastewater?
Yep.
You can answer any questions that you might have.
So this is on drinking water use and inflow and
Mhm.
flow.
How much water have we made up from rainwater in the last 2 weeks or so? How much do you think we got in total?
Total rainfall?
Yeah.
Maybe 7 inches total.
Okay, and each inch relates to how much water we process?
Roughly 100,000
That's
just
right.
across the lagoons, but that's not including what could come in from
Okay,
collection system as well.
Right.
Yeah,
so it's an addition in flow than our normal usage.
correct.
And that's the adjusted numbers that I
Right.
put on that sheet, Mike, take into account the 100,000
Right.
gallons per inch.
Well, I didn't see this, I'm
Roughly.
sorry.
And so we're looking at being about, 1.5 million over last year and
Sure.
3 million over 2018.
Right, and how much less rainfall did we have in that same period?
Well, that takes into account the rainfall.
Yeah.
That's the impact, that's with the impact of the rain.
We're like
No.
19 inches down.
No, what I'm asking, I think I'm asking a different question, but I could be asking the same question. Is I know we've had less rainfall this year than we've had in the past couple of years.
Mhm.
So these numbers here, it includes the
It-
adjustment
it
for
does.
an inch per
Yes,
100,000 gallons for
that's
rainfall?
correct.
So we're comparing apples to apples.
Apples to apples.
So before, during the drought part, we were looking at a much different set of numbers because we were
Yes.
comparing our numbers of usage without any rainfall.
Without the impact.
So the new numbers have been adjusted to include the lack of rainfall.
That's correct.
Gotcha.
And that's why the 3 million gallons over 2018 and the 1.5 million gallons over last year, it really is showing the impact of the increase in population.
Right.
Full-time population that we're seeing. And remember, the 2020 numbers that we're comparing do not have a lot or as much commercial usage as we've seen in the prior years. So that's another factor that could impact us in the future if the commercial numbers come back up to what they were in 2019.
And
So,
Dylan, how does this number affect our planning going forward for chemical treatment?
So realistically, I mean, the more we have to treat, obviously, the more chemical we're gonna
Right.
use. So,
But is there a baseline or is it a 1-to-1 multiplier?
to be honest with you, it's kind of multiple answers to that. Really, because it depends on the strength of the wastewater. So it's not just, everything is equal.
Yeah,
You're
gotcha.
gonna use more in some cases than you would in others, on the
Alright.
same exact amount of flow. So, for example, in the wintertime, we're gonna use more of one chemical than we would of the other, just because of the water being colder, and the lagoons don't work as well in the colder
Okay.
temperatures. But as Mark showed, from 2018, we're at 3 million gallons to date.
Right.
If this continues at this rate, it's almost like we're gonna add a whole nother, month, February, in terms
Yeah,
of.
no, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah, we-
definitely see an impact financially on the chemical costs, as well as, electricity costs as well.
Oh, no, the whole cost,
yeah, I
as
think,
well as the wear and tear on the system
Correct.
for, not having that time to relax.
and I think it's not out of the realm of possibility of the overall department budgets, both water and wastewater being up 15-20%, just because of the impact on our materials and,
Right, that's understandable.
so that's just something we need to be ready for when we start to look at the budgets.
Right, okay.
Oh, and one other report thing, the repairs are complete up at the lagoon. And the good news is that, the total cost of the most recent repairs was $7,500.
Oh.
Which was
That's good.
substantially less.
We budgeted, what, 38,000?
We were figuring in the 30 to 35.
Yeah.
So. we were-
Now, are these repairs or are these Band-Aids?
Now, this is a repair.
This is a.
Oh, that's good to know.
It's ongoing. It'll work for several years. It
Right.
should.
All right, well, that takes a little bit of the pressure off.
Yeah.
And Dylan, now that
That's Formica.
we've had more rain, does that make a difference in what's going on in the lagoons?
It hasn't been enough rain yet, I don't believe,
Mhm.
to really show, because we're still looking at, here we're 12 inches below 18 and 19 inches below 2019 in terms of rainfall. So it's tough to say. I think as we get later into the year, we'll see a big
Yeah,
difference.
but I guess I was referring back to we thought maybe some of the problems were occurring because it had been so dry and
Right.
now we're starting to get wetter again.
But we're still seeing flow coming out of the new drainage.
Right.
Yeah,
So it hasn't affected it yet.
okay, okay. Alrighty,
How are we also doing with our old leak problem? Has that seemed to work itself out, or are we just in such a unique situation we haven't been able to really identify it? Remember how we had the company come in and scope us a year ago?
Oh, the
summer?
infiltration and inflow?
Yeah,
That has not been an issue
That's-
because of
yeah.
the lack of rain.
the lack of rain is so we
That's
don't know because we haven't had that.
That's
Yeah, the ground's so dry that it absorbs the majority of the
Right.
rainfall, so.
I have a couple of minor things,
Sure.
Public Works. One, I think it may be a good idea to pick up those, plant barrels we have around the pond. Maybe across from the golf course, the plants are dead. Do we usually leave them there all winter? We have two,
Across from the golf course?
well, we have two,
Who's on that?
Those aren't ours.
that,
Whose are they?
The ones on the beach?
well, I'm talking about both places.
No,
The beach is ours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we can pick that one.
yeah, I would just, they just look unsightly now that the plants are dead, and they'll become trash receptacles. The ones on the road across from the golf clubhouse,
those are.
presumably Craig put them there.
Yeah, probably.
Okay,
And what about our, Richie, you done with your question?
well, I have one other very minor issue. A couple days ago when I was walking around, I don't know if this is us or the resort, but the flag looked pretty tattered by where the boats, the boat rent, the flag with the
Yeah.
art on.
That-
The American flag
That's the
was,
resort.
yeah,
that's the resorts.
Yeah.
Can someone,
I'll mention it.
yes, tattered flags are not
No,
something
they're not.
Maybe Ian Collison would be a
Yeah.
good point person for that.
You want to,
I
Just
can,
send him
yeah,
an email.
I'll send him an email.
Thank
if
you.
he needs, we'll find a flag.
Okay.
And thanks for reminding. Are we making any progress with that piece of, some kind of barrier to replace the string between the bridge and the stairs down to the river attached to the building?
Last week, we looked at that and we have a conceptual idea. I just have to have enough men and
I think we need to do it before the ground freezes and gets icy over there.
we'll make it a priority. Like I said,
I
we did
think-
look at it. We have an idea what to do.
You guys know what I'm talking about?
I think what we'll do is probably beg forgiveness rather than ask for permission. So,
Yes,
with the dam girl.
do
so.
what you need to do.
Yeah, I hate to see someone slide down there.
Yep,
and the shades for the lamps are,
yes, they are on order.
They are on
were-
order, just like everything else. I don't even want to give you,
2020.
but it was a manufacturer's mix-up. It was not on the electrician or on Dana White, and they never shipped them. And apparently they didn't have them to ship, and that's why they didn't ship them.
So
So
I just like, are you okay with us leaving the lights on until we get these shields, or do you want the
have you
lights
told
on?
the homeowners association?
I have not. Do
Yeah.
you,
Well, we ought to tell the homeowners association, we aren't ignoring you, we do have a plan.
okay,
We just need to get the shades in.
okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just,
Well,
are you okay with the lights
we'll
staying on?
we'll be flipping the clock back an hour
Yeah.
too, so it'll be getting dark
Let
early.
me ask a question, I don't even know if this exists. Is there some kind of paint to paint the backside of the bulbs that are on there that would work with the heat and deflect that direct light that's going into their places?
I'm not sure that there's anything that would stick, but I can look into it.
Yeah,
But the shade will
But
take
then
care of
the
that,
shade
right?
will take care of
but
it.
when is the shade coming?
We don't know.
That's the problem, we don't know.
Well, that's why I asked,
Yeah.
we
Right.
could turn the lights off
I
until
mean,
we get the shade.
Well, I
The
think
typical answer is 4 to 6.
Yeah.
So,
I think we're getting darker, so we're gonna.
Earlier,
need
and we
the
will be
light.
getting
Yeah.
darker earlier starting this Sunday.
Well, the two things that we ought to keep in mind is, this is the shoulder season. So there aren't gonna be many people on the walk. There probably
That's
aren't
right.
gonna be that many people at the condo either. It's
How late are the lights
I
on?
answered that.
Lights are photo,
So,
they
Come
come
on,
on and go
come on.
off.
Can we regulate that, say turn off at
No,
9 or
because they're
10?
photos, so there's not timers.
Well, maybe we should have a goal to try and get this done before the Thanksgiving holiday when people do perhaps come up.
Well, if we don't have it by Thanksgiving, we'll turn it off.
Okay, it's good.
I mean,
Turn it
that's-
off between Thanksgiving until it gets here,
Yeah,
because there won't be people cross-country skiing on this, hopefully, before Thanksgiving.
Right.
I don't know.
Depends.
No, I'm saying hopefully.
We never know. How about, should we talk about the truck?
If you would like. we
Yeah,
can
I
do
mean-
that while he's here.
I think that's the only other thing on here that's gym related.
for once.
We can come up with something else. All right, where was that?
So we have located a truck from a dealer in Maine that has one in stock, who has a relationship with a company who outfits the trucks with plows and sanders and all that kind of stuff. And we have selected a particular type of plow and wing setup, which is a little different than what we have now. In that it is not, the wing is not a front mounted plow. In other words, it doesn't mount on the same structure at the front of the truck as the front plow does. It's actually moved back, and it's a what they call a mid mount or a mid body mount. And so we're looking at that because of the problems that we've had on the previous trucks where the frame would break in that front area that's overstressed.
Mm-hmm.
So by moving the wing back, we think there's a better weight distribution, and it'll work a lot better and work in our favor for the frame, at least for the truck. And we were able to put a package together, and we are told at this point that it'll be a lot quicker to get that particular truck, which is in stock, and go with that particular company for the plow setup.
Which one was that? Was that the Messer or the Viking?
That would be the
The
Messer.
Messer?
And we can have it hopefully sometime in January.
It talks about utilizing our current sander.
Yes.
How old is our current sander? Not a good answer.
Well, I gotta think, because it's fairly old, but what we've done is we bought them stainless steel so that they would last.
No, I get you.
And then we keep on hand repairs, like repair parts, like the spinner and the chain
No, no.
and all that. All that's been replaced on the
I
sanders.
get you. But my idea is, how much is it to get a new sander on it? And does it help us in trading it in with a sander on, the old one?
I don't believe so.
No, I'm just
No,
wondering.
and that's a good question, Mike, but it's like $20,000 or $30,000.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if we're putting a 15-year-old sander on a brand new truck,
No, it's
even
not
with
that.
parts on it,
No, we've got, same companies, as a matter of fact, that the Messer company is where we get the repair parts for this particular,
yeah,
these
but you're
particular
using the word
sanders.
repair, where I'm thinking we're buying a new truck. And is it gonna be worthwhile to spend a little bit more to have everything new?
There's not a package deal, but
Yeah.
it would include a,
No, we did not.
We did not opt for a new sander because we didn't see that there was a
Because I would
need.
hate to have the great truck working and the sander not working. And what kind of warranties come on all this stuff?
I'd have to check on the truck. I do know that the plow warranties are 2 years, which is a year more than we've been used to.
And the truck, I believe, has a 4-year limited,
Right.
1-year total warranty.
When we did the approval at town meeting
Yeah.
to lease this vehicle,
Mhm.
is the amount of money that we allotted to lease the vehicle, are we within that
We
amount?
are right now, we're
Yeah.
actually $11,000 over the life of the lease, we're $11,000 under.
And is there a trade-in value on this?
There is not, because we're going with a Ram truck rather than our Fords, we'll do a private sale,
Mhm.
disposal of our truck.
All right, just a quick question. Could we see about trading our truck in with the old sander to get a new one with a new sander and stay within our budget?
I will ask that question.
You know what I mean? I'm just
Mark,
thinking
did
that,
I just hear you say a new sander was $20,000 to $30,000?
Yeah, it's,
Well, I have to,
Well-
price one out, but
we'll have to price it out, but by the time we get all of the hydraulics squared away and everything else, it could be that much, maybe 20.
but I'm thinking the old truck might have no value, but it might have value if you have, say, a well-maintained working sander that would be $20,000 or $30,000 new, it might be worth 10. So we trade this in and it costs us 10 when we've got 11,000 left in the budget, and we wind up with a new sander too.
Well, how about if we can get the sander, get it within a $35,000 per year
right.
amount, and under the total or within the total of $105,000, then we can add the sander. But because of the way the warrant article was worded, we can't exceed.
Oh, no, I get you, but if
So
we
we
get
can
money
make it
for the old truck, we can throw that in there,
Yeah,
into
I
that
will
category,
ask.
so. I'm just, it just, to me, it's not worth asking that question. I mean, it's worth asking that question.
Yes, we will, and if you.
Yeah, I was confused for a second.
So if I could, if you would approve what we have here with the Messer setup, and with the understanding that Jim and I will go back tomorrow morning and we will ask them if we can trade in, if we can add a sander, trading in our truck with the old sander, and still make it work within the 35,000, 105,000 numbers for a 3-year lease. If we can make all of that work, then we can move forward with that.
Okay,
Is that?
so,
So if
Thank
the
you.
answer is no to that question, we'll just go with what's here.
Yeah.
With the Messer.
And then we will sell the old truck.
And then we'll sell the old truck and potentially get a new sander from that sale of the truck. And the savings that we have here.
Okay, I would just think you would get it from
No,
this.
and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we
no,
want to, and we will try to get it, but sometimes the dealers don't want to deal with a truck that's not their brand or whatever.
Yeah.
That's all I'm worried about.
okay, so I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the expenditure of funds as allowed at town meeting, maximum of $35,000 to be spent on a new plow truck, specifically the Messer truck, which is being requested. Can I have a second on that?
I will second that with the addendum that we also explore the option of a trade-in with sander, and as long as it's under the 35 a year, $105,000 total as we've discussed.
Okay,
Okay,
we'll do that.
all right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay,
Because we prefer you sander.
Well, I mean,
We're fine with We'll make it work.
we'll make it work.
let's run up here under calendar review.
We may not even have to use it. I think those odds are rather
So
low.
the next meeting is the 12th of November?
I
That's
had,
correct. The 12th, which was the Thursday. Did you say Tuesday instead of?
Yeah,
I had
Thursday.
Tuesday.
It's Tuesday in the agenda, in
The
the
10th.
meeting for today.
Okay,
In the minutes, it's Tuesday, but it's going to be Thursday, as I understand.
Yeah, no, is it, all right, well, whatever.
What
Either one
For
works.
your schedule.
Either works for me.
I would prefer Thursday, please.
All right, let's do November 11th then for our next
No,
meeting.
12th,
No, Thursday the 12th.
The 12th?
the 12th,
Thursday, the
Thursday.
a
12th.
day later, in other words.
Okay. And the meeting after that, what's the date on that?
Well, Thursday is Thanksgiving, the
Right.
26th.
The
So
25th.
the question
I'm
is, do
free.
you want to do the 25th?
It's gonna be one of those years.
Do you-
25th?
I'll be here. I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
we'll be here, okay.
Are you
So
guys
that'll be the
gonna
second
have
meeting.
a half day, or do you guys have
Wait a
a,
minute, you guys want a half day with your
We
family? We're not
usually
gonna have,
have a half.
we're not gonna do
how
that.
about Tuesday then,
How about
Tuesday,
Tuesday,
yeah.
the 24th?
The 25th.
Yeah.
Okay.
at 3? Okay.
Now, I'm getting old, so you guys remind me which one.
So Mark, do you have to jump on this meeting right at 4?
As close as I can to it, but they have people
Okay,
giving,
all right, well,
Should we
let's
talk about tax rating?
plow on again, a tax rate setting. I looked at this and I said, why don't we split the difference?
well,
It's not a whole lot.
we got
I went back and forth on that too.
the state actually responded about noontime.
Okay?
You mean there's someone there?
There was someone there finally. And so these are the actual numbers, so they're a little higher. They're 5 cents higher than what I told you.
So 22 cents.
Yeah, but I don't feel compelled, based on the discussion we had at our last selectmen's meeting. I don't want to get into a situation where people are seeing a big bump up in the following year. And I know we have some pretty big capital projects.
Right, but I think the big bump up is gonna be from SWEPT, it's not gonna be from us.
Right,
And the kind of bump up we're gonna see if SWEPT is enacted.
Right, but the good news on the SWEP though, listening to the commission on education funding, the legislative commission, I don't think we're gonna see a SWEP change
This year,
for several years. They're talking about a phase-in of
Yeah.
any recommendations that they make. So it's still there and you still have to take it in, but I don't think it's definitely not a 21-22 school year issue. So the next tax rate.
So they'll screw us slowly and.
Right, exactly. I think they'll phase it in
Yeah.
over several years into, but they're not even close to coming up with a formula yet. They're not. They're really flailing around, and I'm gonna throw a bigger monkey wrench in the whole thing today.
The question I have, if I may, is, what, is it now settled, the state education tax for 2020 is gonna be 199? I see you took off the,
Yes, it
The
is
italics.
199, yes.
and,
All the numbers except the blue
Right.
are set by
Solid.
the state.
right, so 152 for our local.
That's correct. So local went up the 8 cents, the state portion came down to 6 cents.
Right,
And
And
the county came down to 21 cents.
did the county come down as they finished all their building and all that
I
other
think,
stuff?
I think they're
Right.
retiring a lot of debt. I
Yeah,
didn't
from
look at
from building
all
all
of
the
their
Grafton
budget
County
stuff,
property.
but yes.
Okay.
and does this take into account the extra money that the schools?
yeah, that's what I
What
was
do you need?
wondering.
This takes into account all of that.
The deficit spending for this year as
Yes.
well as
They're all
whatever
set.
extra?
Okay.
And actually, there's good news on that point.
Oh, all right. I do like, squirreling away as much as possible in fund balance
Yes,
because of
I
these,
agree.
it's
Mhm.
large.
So this- This
So,
1436 is without using any fund balance, correct?
No additional fund balance.
Okay, and how much is it per 10 cents in fund balance to bring this down?
33,000.
33,000 gives us 10 cents. So if we took 33, we would be at 14,
We'd be at
26.
We'd be at
1424.
24.
33,000 brings
No,
10 cents.
33,000 brings it down to 1426.
Yeah, 10 cents.
That's correct.
I can live with spending 33,000. That still leaves us in the 900s in fund
Just
balance.
under, okay, no?
Correct, Mark?
Yes,
Approximately 900 left in fund balance.
yes.
Okay,
So I will, and that doesn't take into account if we underspend what we're
I've got
expecting.
you.
So we're doing okay, I think. I'll make it 14, can we make it 1425? There's
Yeah.
just something OCD that 1426 drives me insane. So we'll make it, I'll call it an even 1425.
25. Yeah.
Okay, and I'll work with DRA to make that. So I should have paperwork available for your final approval and signature either tomorrow or Friday.
Okay,
So Mark, are you gonna make a motion?
do I need to
To
make
set
a
the
motion?
tax-
Yeah, just set
Okay,
the rate
so
at
I'm going to
14.
move that we set the tax rate for 2020 at $14.25 per thousand.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 It's very similar to the tax rate in 2017.
It is the.
Yeah,
I'm very happily surprised.
Yes, I guess I could say kudos, Mark, for managing through some very difficult things in terms of lost revenue and
Yeah,
things that we just didn't do this year in order to keep this as conservative as we possibly could going forward, and knowing that we're gonna have a lot of capital expenses in the future. We do need to squirrel away some fund balance to help
Yeah.
out with that.
too bad we don't have any money for bonuses.
Yeah, that's part of we have jobs.
Okay.
We're happy.
So I need to send Mark off.
So I just need to go out,
Yeah.
you've got the drought stuff, the road planning engineering proposal did not come in, so I will not be able to talk about that.
Okay.
I see Linda Coleman is still on, for the grant opportunity.
And can I ask if Jack Sanders has any business before us? Or are you just observing today, Jack?
Nothing. That was a thumbs down.
That was
No,
a thumbs
okay.
down.
I'll
And I
just
see
go make
Tom
these
and Barry.
comments and try to come back. I do have non-public if
Right.
you're still here.
Very good.
And I see Tom and Barry.
Yeah, you're done.
Anything from you guys?
Not from me, just Tom.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to know, is there any update on hockey for either this weekend or the following weekend or in the future?
Yeah.
My understanding, and we had this at the very beginning when we were having technical difficulties, the Hockey Academy is going to have some private rentals going on this weekend, but they will not be doing tournaments. They are going to start their tournaments the following weekend. And the Hockey Academy here in Waterville Valley has been complying with all of the many changing things that have been going on with hockey in the state of New Hampshire. And so they have gone above and beyond the requirements for New Hampshire at this point in time. And they intend to continue doing that. But it's kind of a minefield out there for the hockey people trying to figure out from one weekend to the next what's allowed. So, yeah.
There's
Thanks
also
for the question, Barry.
There's also the question, Barry, of what Massachusetts is going to do, since a lot of the business here comes from our southern neighbors. And that will have a great impact on what they are able to do with tournaments. So they're planning, but everything is still in flux, as I understand it.
Yeah,
And my only concern is to keep us safe, that's all.
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Linda, do you want to talk about the grant opportunity?
Sure, thanks for asking. The Renewable Energy Committee has been working on a request for qualifications for someone to help us look at the big picture of the valley, to move forward with clean energy. And part of that, we found a CDFA grant that we're working with Mark to see. We'll be doing an official presentation. This is kind of the preliminary heads up. It's a grant up to $6,000. They'll pay 75%, and it has so the town we'd be asking the town for a 25% kind of match, which would be $2,000 to pay for this person to look at, this is the town of Waterville Valley, and how can we best move forward the big picture and help us hone in on what can work in our town for our residences and our businesses and the municipality. Like, where can we put solar? What's the best opportunity for that? How much could we generate? Maybe more electric vehicles. I don't know if the select board heard that the membership at Winter Hill passed the electric vehicle charging station at Winter Hill. So we have the permit. As soon as it stops raining, hopefully Johnson will be digging for it. And I think this will probably be the first one in the valley and more to come. So this person will help. It'll be like a Renewable Energy Committee's Tara. That's how I think of it. So I'm pretty excited working with Mark. And any questions?
No, I think Mark is probably going to talk to us about putting something in the budget, Linda, for the town's match. Linda, is your organization a 501c3 or intending to be, or?
You mean the Renewable Energy Committee?
Yes.
Or?
Yes.
It's a town committee, so
Okay.
I guess it's whatever the town is.
Okay, yeah, all right, I got you. All righty, we had some personnel policy COVID-19 changes. I guess Mark has to talk about that, but best I can understand, they were looking at the August 27th release by the state and updating the personnel policies to coincide with those, so.
I'll approve them if it's just a matter of bringing us up to compliance with state regulations.
Yeah, I would say that's kind of what it is. So you're making the motion, all second? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Talk to us about the drought. Dylan?
The drought is, it's still in full effect. We're still on severe, I believe, Jim, we're still on severe drought location. This part of the state and the surrounding area. If this is what's going to happen from here on out, if the weather stays like this, if the ground starts to freeze, I don't see us recovering really until the spring. Hopefully, we have a good snowpack. But there isn't anything that I saw in the next 7 days that is anything that's a large amount of rainfall or precipitation by any means.
I thought I saw something that we had gone back to moderate instead of severe.
I thought
there's something in our minutes, right?
There's a new map out as of a few days ago that has us as moderate.
As of the 22nd, that has us as moderate.
D1 moderate drought.
But that doesn't mean it's going to stay forever.
No.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is, because we don't have anything in the foreseeable future anyways for a large amount of precipitation, it's probably going to return back to a severe drought.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ground's so dry.
Yeah.
And you can see just the river itself is dropping on a weekly basis. We had that, what was it, a weekend of rain. Watched the river was almost red from everything washing out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just back down basically where it was previously. I'm not a meteorologist by any means, but the way the weather pattern has been, I don't see it getting back to anywhere close to normal levels for rainfall over the course of the year before the ground freezes over.
And the weird thing is that you can make up for a lack, or, okay, so we're behind how many inches this year?
12 versus 18, 19 versus 19.
Right, so say we made up that deficit for rainfall in the next month and a half.
Right.
That doesn't mean the ground made it up.
Right.
Right.
That's what everybody's got to keep in
Right,
mind.
a lot of runoff.
There's a lot of runoff.
And then when frozen ground is
It's not going to be absorbed until
At all.
Yeah. And now with with all the leaf mast is down, so that's another almost semi-impermeable layer on the forest floor. So, the absorption by the ground, because it's so dry, it's not really, you'd almost have to get twice as much.
Yeah, and the ground, because it's so dry, it's almost like hard pack.
Mm.
You know, it's been so dry for so long that it makes it that much harder for it to be soaked into the ground.
Yeah.
So.
And I also have heard Tim at the resort talk about the fact that the water has to be at a certain level in order for them to draw and make snow out.
Correct.
And I don't think they're there, are they?
I would be very surprised if they were.
Yeah.
The inlet pipe is down back. You have to go, get us to look at how far the pipe is from.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it really is down significantly.
So we should maintain our current
I believe so.
Yeah.
current water restriction
Yeah, so,
regulation.
Well, I don't think at this point, again, because we're in a shoulder season and the swimming pools that were outdoors are mostly closed and that kind of thing, I don't think we're affecting it a great deal. So I don't think there is any harm in keeping
Sure, no,
the restrictions
yeah,
in.
we gotta do it anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Mark's gonna give us the educational funding update. Board concerns and directives, anything?
No.
I just have one question, Sharon, with regard to, new resident, license and car registrations, do you have a sense of where we stand on compliance? Sorry, I should have brought this up. I just thought about it as I was running out of the house. I don't mean to catch you cold.
Pretty well. I'd have to go back and do a little research to really give you a definite, more solid answer. With the election and voting registration and car it all kind of tied in together to kind of encourage folks to get that process done, to get their New Hampshire licenses before the election. So I think a lot of folks have gone through that process. Some are still waiting for appointments to get their New Hampshire driver's licenses. But we did, as folks were coming into town, those new residents, we did encourage them to get their cars registered first and then get their driver's licenses second. Get their vehicles done and
Give
then
us the
set
money.
the appointment and basically.
Yeah, I would agree 100% with that. Is that gonna present a problem since we'll be supervising the election next week? They will still be able to vote if they've not gotten in New Hampshire?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Driver's
If they don't
license.
have, anybody who became a new resident that doesn't have a New Hampshire license.
Even if it's beyond
Even
the,
if it's beyond that
okay.
60-day time period, we'll have that letter from us, from the town, stating that they are a resident.
Okay.
And they've gone through that process. I think, the supervisors added quite a few new registered voters at their session this past weekend. And, I think we're probably close to 400, if not over 400 registered voters in the town.
That'd be like an 50 to 80, I think.
Yeah.
Do you have any sense of how many ballots we've already received?
How many, absentee ballots?
Yeah.
We're not at 200, but it's probably about 100 and, probably have about 120, 130 received. And I just think there's probably about another 30 out there that still haven't yet returned as current applications, but we're getting them in daily.
Right, and they have till 5 p.m.
And they have
day
5
of.
p.m. A lot of the folks coming in now, and that's actually one thing to set your,
Yes.
Yeah, that was my
yes,
next-
I wrote it
as
down,
well. That
yeah.
wasn't on the agenda, but I
Yeah.
wanted to
Right,
remind you
that
to
was,
do that. That we're encouraging folks, if they're coming in to get their absentee ballot, allow for a little more time. And if they want to cast their ballot right then and there, so they can complete it and it's all done, one-stop shopping, they can request it, get it, and turn it back in. And if they are taking it with them to complete at home, encouraging them to bring it back in or mail it in.
But we're allowing them to sit at the table up there if they wanted to do it one stop.
Yeah, if they have, and if they allow the time, it's that person rushing in last minute, I don't have time to wait for the, it's like, well, okay, then you can take it with you and, just get it back to us.
Excellent. Yeah, I will, I'll come Friday morning, is it, I think? They'll be doing
The
pre-processing
pre-processing is gonna be Friday afternoon.
afternoon?
At
Okay,
1 p.m. and
Yeah,
they'll do it
I have
around here in this room.
I'll have it in my calendar.
And what is pre-processing?
It's the partial pre-processing, so they will, the election officials will look
New
at
this year,
the.
right?
It's new this year. They did it for the primary as well. But they'll be allowed to look at the ballots that have come back in, compare them, look at the applications that they're attached to, and open up the outer envelope of that ballot
Okay,
and inspect to make sure that, and then the inner envelope is not open, but it's kind of indicated that that ballot has been received, but it hasn't been processed yet.
okay.
So-
And then where do those go?
They are stored here. They're up in under lock and key in the cabinet upstairs, and then those are taken over to the polling location on election day.
Okay, and there is a way, because I did vote absentee, there is a way, we got a little yellow sheet, at least mine was yellow, that gave you instructions about how to track what's going on with your
Yeah,
ballot.
so you can track the ballot right through the Secretary of State's website,
Mhm.
and by entering in your personal information, your town, date of birth, and then it'll tell you when your ballot was requested, when it was delivered to you, or when it was sent to you, and when it was received back, once it's been cast and returned to us.
Okay, all right.
And those are all up to date. I've been updating those daily, so anybody coming in on a daily basis.
Will we have a big sign at the school telling people that voting is at the conference center?
Yes, I
Because
did
a lot of
mention that.
people have asked me, not knowing where voting is, even though it's on our website, we posted
Yeah, I'm
it.
gonna plug it again
There's always the
tomorrow,
10%.
and then I'm
No,
gonna,
I think it's more like a 30%.
30%. Don't
yeah,
get the
I'm
memo.
gonna plug it again tomorrow.
But I think we need a big sign or somebody there, maybe a police officer if we have an extra one, or somebody from the town letting people know.
No, it's pushing, they put a sign right on the door and
Yeah.
then give it instructions to go to the.
Yeah,
conference
on
center.
our door,
So
yeah.
leave the lights on after dark so people coming to vote late would do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe it's in the foyer.
You're right. I will make sure they're on the foyer, and actually, they were out from the building when I left last night. I told Wiley about it, so he's gonna fix that tomorrow. But we'll make sure to put
Yeah.
the signs out.
Right.
Yep, I'll get,
I'll even put, actually, I'll probably put a bigger sandwich board out front so people
That
don't
would
get
be
out
per-
of their car.
If you could do it on a sandwich board so people can
Right.
see it from a distance, because they're gonna pull in and wonder,
Yeah,
how come there are no cars here?
yeah.
Or why is
I'll
it
do
dark?
that.
Yeah.
Great.
So we need to sign up for our hours. Polling hours are 11 to 7.
I was fine with last year's arrangement, if
I
that's
can't
okay.
How was
remember
that?
what we did.
I stayed there 11 to 7 and you guys split it up.
Okay, I'll do 11 to 11:15.
Well, that's, you can discuss that with,
Yeah, I'll do the
Margaret.
first, I'll do the first shift. I'll do 11 to what?
they're 8 hours,
It'll be 11 to.
11 to 3.
Okay,
11 to 3?
and you do
And-
3 to 7 and you like to stay and count.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just hang out the whole day
And
so
you're
we
gonna hang out the day.
satisfy the law.
Yes.
2 of us are present.
Yes.
I had a question that I forgot to ask when we were talking about the personnel policy. And I talked to Mark about this earlier and to bring it up, which is, do we have a plan as a town to, if schools go remote for whatever reason, because, they've been going remote for like two or 3 days in general to clean up and whatever, and they haven't affected, my kid's school or other people in my office's school, but what is our approach or expectation from our full-time staff that may have to deal with young kids at home in that situation?
Didn't we have that in our first policy? I think we reviewed that and that was specifically spelled out that if you have to be home, it's not deducted from your sick time, it's not deducted
No.
from anything.
I think you just have to provide a note or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, okay, so it's just the same as it was in earlier, like in
Right.
March, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Which makes sense to me, I just wanted, the question was asked of me, so I just wanted to talk to Mark about it, and he said, oh, that's a good thing to bring up during the
oh, okay.
policy thing.
But I think it was always our intent that people were not going to lose
Right.
pay when they had to be absent from work due to a COVID-related situation.
Okay,
Yeah.
It says, subpara H, it says that employees who take sick leave to care for a member of their household who is sick or otherwise need to be cared for, that would be children, I'd imagine,
but
yes.
it's sick leave, or is it non-charged?
Will not be charged accrued sick leave time
Okay, so it's just the.
because of the coronavirus.
Yeah, okay, great, I mean.
That's how I read it.
nothing's changed then.
I mean, you might want to just clarify with Mark that phrase includes children at home who don't have it, but that's how I read it.
but I believe the intent of the selectmen.
Well, that was
Well, they
my
wouldn't be
understanding.
sick, they would
You
just
know,
be
originally what we did
shut
was we
down.
just
That's
paid
how I read it,
everybody
though.
their regular wages for a period of time.
Yeah.
And when that period of time was over, we said going forward, we wanted to make sure that nobody was penalized if they had to stay home for any COVID-related reason.
Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Just
And that would
yeah.
include school shut-in.
That's how I read
Like
para,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It was a little more clear when everyone was shut down, but now it's like this school here,
Yeah,
that
no,
school
it
here.
is something that's probably gonna have to get revisited when we
Yeah.
really start seeing what the impacts are gonna be. Because you're right, the variables are moving so rapidly now
Yeah.
that we don't know, because it's gonna be interesting, because I don't think the intent of our thing was if we had a sick child or a child who had to be in quarantine, we said, great, you have to be home, we're not gonna dock you.
Yeah,
But what happens if your school shuts down?
right.
You know,
That's different.
it's kind of a separate issue, but it's the same issue.
So let me paint the picture for our reality is we're running an after-school program, okay, for WVES. And so, my kids are at Plymouth, other people that are at other schools. So what if one of those schools is shut down, that person has to stay home, but they're running the program at Waterville Valley Elementary School after-school program, so now they can't run that program. So there's an effect there.
Oh, yeah, no,
And I just guess we have to be ready to take on that effect. if
But we
we're-
don't even know the full reaches of the effect,
Oh,
so
no.
it's hard to create a policy.
Right.
Because the effect is so variable and so totally and so widely encompassing.
Yeah.
It's just like,
So maybe we need to come up with a little clause or something for our programs that says something to that.
oh, yeah,
That says, that this could be canceled with very
well,
little notice.
I think people understand that.
Okay.
I think we're in a world where most people understand we're in this trying time. And no one who's reasonable is going to be unreasonable.
Okay.
Of course, we're gonna have people that are unreasonable for any reason, because that's their nature.
Right.
But for the most part, and if it happens, we'll have to deal
Okay,
with
so
it.
I'll just keep you guys up. Those are just the things, like you
Right.
said, you don't know what the scope
But
is of
Right.
that.
I think-
but those are the things that I can
Yeah.
predict.
1H, I think, covers that, so we say, or otherwise.
Yeah.
Otherwise need to be cared for,
Yeah,
after saying sick, or otherwise need to be cared for because of COVID.
yeah.
That,
It's
to me,
more like
meant
the
you had to
impact,
stay
though,
home
on our program.
because of kids.
Is the reason I'm bringing it up.
Right, that,
Right.
whatever
And
policy
you having to
works for
stay
you.
home, or Sandra staying home. or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
You can't do
whoever.
it,
I
you
mean,
can't do it.
all the people in our office have young kids, so,
Yeah.
and I'm sure there's other kids that,
But I mean, the people that are counting on your program, that
Right.
you just have
Yeah.
to figure out a daisy chain to notify people
yeah.
that things are gonna be
And we
canceled.
have that, we have that in place. It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
realizing that that's abrupt. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Anywho, just wanted to bring it
Anyhow.
up.
Good,
Okay, thanks for
Good
bringing
point.
that up. I don't think we have anything else on our agenda. I guess we can
check on Mark and
move
we can-
to
You guys gonna
adjourn.
go check on Mark?
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
I guess you got non-public and that's it, right?
The education funding
Yeah.
update, I think, would be interesting. Because I am surprised that it's only going up
Well, I
5
think
cents,
it's good.
6 cents.
Oh, our tax rate?
No, the local education portion of it.
Yeah, only up 8 cents. Yes,
Yeah, I think it went up 8, but the state went down 2.
right.
I think that was
Our
it.
state went down 6 cents,
The state went down
6 cents,
6 cents and ours went up 8 cents.
right.
So the net effect was a 2-cent increase. Maybe we should get them to do town tax rate. They seem to have magical accounting.
All right.
Yeah.
That little Alabama girl out in her first nose.
It's bigger than I thought. From these pictures, I was thinking of, one of these little itty bitty dogs.
She's
Like
3 pounds.
That's,
3 pounds at 10 weeks.
yeah, that's good size, no?
He's guessing it's gonna be another 10 or 15 minutes at the most.
Uh,
There's 2 speakers ahead of him, and then he speaks, and his is only a 2-minute long thing, but he just doesn't know how long the people in front of him are gonna take.
okay, well, I think we will adjourn.
I'm fine either way.
Are you fine either way?
No, I don't mind
Okay.
that. Yeah.
I'd like to
Yeah.
go up and hear what what's going on.
Well,
Can we do that?
yeah, that
Can we
sounds
do
good.
that?
Do you want to adjourn this portion?
Yes,
Yes.
we'll adjourn this portion, because we just
Excellent
have,
idea.
a non-public session left, so. So I move to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 We off?
Not yet.
Depends what the meaning of off is.
Yes. When one believes the only thing truly normal in the world is a 7-hour washing machine.